and bikini on the beach.
That's true.
Need
We
you-
could do it together. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, that was also true. You do have a full-time job or freelance? I know many audience must be jealous of you. How you made it? Tell us some secrets.
Well,
Maybe there's places maybe people should avoid. I won't leave a number on it. Is there maybe a place you've been to you're like, yeah, if I had to do it again, maybe I wouldn't go there.
Well, it'd be spouse happy house.
Yeah.
Instead of like we like to do that instead of happy wife, happy life. So happy spouse, happy house, and seeing him happy was enough to go. Yes, I will go to Mexico. It'll be amazing.
We all been on them before. So,
Yeah.
All right. So welcome everybody. How are we doing? And welcome to our newest podcast. Again, we have our special guest today. And again, for those who don't remember, I'm Roddy.
I'm Lindy.
And so we'll just start and let y'all introduce yourselves and just kind of go from there.
Awesome. Great.
Well, we are Michael and Katie Catlow, and we are from South Carolina, and we are in Mexico for the second time now, living here.
Nice. And so I know, obviously I did a little bit of research from y'all and from your message to me. I know y'all have traveled quite extensively. Now, I know we can't go and do all the countries you've been to, so let's keep it maybe simple. Now, they've done a lot of travel. I think, Michael, you said you've been over 60 countries?
Just hit 60 countries.
60 countries.
Katie's, I think, at 40 or 41.
I'd have to check the app. There's an app for that.
Yeah.
But I think it is 41, yeah.
Wow.
So, something we always like to do to kind of keep it brief, if we were to maybe, I know it's always tough, but if we were to say maybe your top 3 countries that you would maybe recommend for people to maybe travel to, what would you kind of suggest?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe each of y'all top.
Right. I think I'll give one, and then I'll let him give 2 since he's been to more.
I think if we can do it quick, you do 3, let me do 3. Let's see if they're the same.
Oh, God. Okay. The 3. Okay. Greece for sure.
Greece?
Greece is my top one.
Pops up.
That's why I was like, I'm going to give 1. So.
And so with Greece, it's also the islands and mainland Greece.
Yes, it would
nice.
be both. Yes.
So Mexico.
Oh,
Mexico.
No, so Mexico is a favorite place for sure.
Sure.
And Puerto Vallarta is one of the favorites. So we have lived in several different places in Mexico.
Okay.
But Greece is just as beautiful, if not more, in certain aspects with the Mediterranean feel as opposed to the Latin American feel.
Right.
I think probably our biggest surprise, like kind of the dark horse, we weren't expecting it to be so amazing, was the country of Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So we went for one of the world wonders, which is Petra. If you're not familiar, you can Google it. But it was such an amazing, we found so many other places that we didn't even know. We just Google searched most Instagrammable spots in Jordan, and it brought up these amazing spots. So Jordan was a surprise. And then we also just did Iceland.
That one came to mind too. See, I think of things afterwards.
We just did Iceland this past November for the first time. We were only there
I would
for
only
3 days,
recommend know that you're going there, because a little bit about our story is we typically just kind of show up places, and so we did not have the proper clothing. So Iceland is truly cold.
Sure.
Yeah.
So being prepared to go to Iceland would be a good recommendation.
Greece, I know it's 4. Greece, Mexico, Jordan, and
You
Iceland.
have to say Mexico.
Sure, of course. While we're there. Yeah, and I always like, we've traveled a little bit, maybe not as extensively as y'all, but I always like those surprise places. You mentioned Jordan. I did a European trip many, many years ago. And the one thing I always tell people was that surprised me was Belgium. Right? Because all the other countries, I did the Spain and England and all the other countries.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's hard to say your favorite. So it's always nice to have those little surprise places.
Yeah.
You don't really expect much out of it. And they're really like, wow, I really like this place.
Yeah, that was where my holdup was I was thinking all the Europe countries that we've done, and I was like, I like Rome, I like all. How do you pick a favorite? So I was like, I'm just going to say Europe. Can I just go continent?
The whole thing? Yeah.
Right.
But I will say, like with Greece, we had done the Greek islands before, and we love Santorini. Like when somebody asks what's your number 1 favorite place, we almost always say Santorini, Greece.
Okay.
It's magical, it's spectacular, it's one of the most majestic places in the world. But we did a 2-week road trip around mainland Greece this past fall, and it was probably the biggest overall surprise of. Man, I had no idea Greece was so beautiful, so amazing. The food was so spectacular. Everybody spoke English. Everywhere we went, just made it really easy. The food was so cheap. It was cheaper than Mexico.
Really?
Wow.
Blew me away.
We gotta look at that.
More affordable. More affordable.
Right.
There you go. More affordable. I know. All right, okay, great. I mean, then those are some interesting places. But now let's go to the other end.
Within the country that I love, but Naples. I mean, we did
Italy.
Naples
Italy.
on a cruise, and I was like, I had in my head thinking, Naples is going to be amazing, and I'm so excited. I don't know why I had that. I just had heard that I was going to love it, and when we got there, I was like, I am glad this is a one day on and off the
Yeah.
boat.
Wow.
So just a lot of trash on the ground.
Really?
Yeah, it was really, really surprising. Actually, Italy and some of the big cities in Italy in general, but Naples in particular.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, Naples. Been to Rome, never Naples, so I definitely couldn't speak on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I want to think, like in my head, I want to think I love Italy because I do like wine, but I think I'm going to want to be more in the vineyard in that area than in the big cities. But
Right.
that was, Naples was I thought I was going to love it and I did
Uh-huh.
not. So that was one.
Yeah, another one for me, Katie. Yeah, you have been there, but not the same time that I went. Cairo, Egypt.
Oh, I've heard.
So-
Oh,
It
yeah,
was-
I heard a bad story about it.
Yeah.
Did you really?
You've
Yeah.
heard, yes.
So it was amazing for the pyramids, right? To go to Giza and
Sure.
some of the ruins and all the other things around. But the actual feeling of Cairo is probably one of the only places I've ever had where I'm like, I just don't like the feel, the vibe, and so forth. But you got to go because you got to
Sure.
go see the pyramids,
Right.
And you got
And everything else that's there that it offers, right?
Yeah.
We had a friend who lived there for years, and,
Really?
and so he kind of came back with some stories, and kind of the same sentiment. It was a little bit
Yeah.
everything else is cool, but he was there for a few years, right, Marlon?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was there for a few years. I don't
Yeah.
remember the exact time, but it
Yeah.
just. But as soon as you said that, I was like, it made me think of him. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the stories he kind of told us.
Yeah,
So I definitely have heard that before. Obviously,
Yeah.
I've never been to Egypt ourselves, so don't know.
Get picked up at the airport, go straight to Giza, hang out near the pyramids, get a nice hotel, and you'll be good.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I heard that there's so many scams, people on the street, everyone trying to sell you things. Like
Oh,
even
yeah.
you go to the what's called the
Pyramids.
Pyramids,
yes, still many scammers going on. You're really gonna watch out
Yes.
before you go in there, do your
Yes.
own work.
But for anybody who may be
Yeah,
watching your
that's what I
amazing
heard.
podcast, which we're super excited to be here with these guys. We've watched several of their videos now. We're
Thank
like,
you.
oh, this is like an honor for us. But yes, in the pyramid complex, the guys with the camels, do not even make eye contact. Don't acknowledge that they even exist. Otherwise, you will, and don't get on a camel.
Oh,
Because
Unless you're
then
ready
they
to
won't
pay
let you
for it,
off.
right.
Without paying them more money.
More money.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Stories about their kids. All the
I
things.
think for me, I want to ask you a question: is what made you can afford or have time to travel to so many places?
I'll let Michael tell that story. That's a good one.
Well, so I used to have a wedding and event planning business in
Oh.
Charlotte, North Carolina for 14 years. Started that when I was in college and so forth. And just to tell the context of the story. And I built this big business. We had DJs, photographers, and videographers that worked for me. It was really great, got paid to party for a living. But all of these couples that would get married, they would then go off on these exotic honeymoons and send me pictures while I was stuck in my office 80, 90, 100 hours a week, right? So there was always this desire of, there's got to be a way to travel the world and make lots of money, right? Or make enough money to cover your bills.
Yeah.
So we now own our own independent travel agency.
Oh, okay.
So we are in the travel space, right? Hence the I Love Travel shirt. But what we also do is we teach, I can't say everybody because people watch from all over, mostly US, UK, and a few other Caribbean countries, how they can start their own. They can become their own independent travel agent and earn commissions on their own travel. Plus there's travel agent perks and stuff like that you get. So we fund everything with our travel agency business, but we also get travel perks and benefits and discounts and stuff like that being travel agents.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard of things as far as being an agent and getting those little travel agent deals, right? I mean, I know it's kind of difficult to, again, Peter, so I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of different adventures. But I mean, could you give us an example of a perk that you might get? I mean, are we allowed to share that?
We can do from like a generalized
Sure.
standpoint. We won't mention any of the particular vendors.
Sure,
Do you want
sure.
to reference any, or you
Sure.
can share the cruise we just did?
Yeah, so we did a cruise. And I would say that the most, if anybody's interested in, that might be interesting. I think the majority of the perks that are like the most valuable or the most like wow are usually with cruises. So they already have, just about all of them have special agent or travel agent rates. And so you can get a different rate, but then they also run specials that are just, hey, if a travel agent is selling our cruise, they're going to sell it better if they're on it. So they'll do a very special, more so than their special rate, to the point of, we'll just say deeply discounted.
Well,
Deeply discounted, yeah.
More so than their normal. So
In an example that we just did in April, it was a brand new vendor that we've never sold any cabins on. We've never even sailed with them before. And so we didn't even have to do any production in order to earn this, so to speak. It was just a travel agent perk. So we had a balcony. It was a 12-day, 11-night cruise. Went from Florida up to New York City. So it was a repositioning cruise.
Right.
But that was amazing because we sailed right past the Statue of Liberty.
Uh-huh.
So we had a balcony cabin, 12 days, 11 nights, all the things that are included in a cruise for $0 cruise fare. We just had to pay the port fees and taxes.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a $4,000 cruise that we got for $440 for 2 people.
Wow. Yeah.
So
it makes sense.
So something like that makes it easier to travel and so forth.
Right. I mean, and again, as far as from the business aspect, that makes sense, right? You are selling their product.
That's correct.
It's one thing to just talk about it from pictures and actually experience it. Like,
That's correct.
the food and the chef, and then we can really get into the particular details, right?
Yeah.
Which helps kind of sell the dream of the vacation a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right?
And if
I
you-
tasted the food.
That's correct.
And they'll give you you can tour the ship on your own, or you can tour it with
A site inspection.
a concierge and that kind of thing, and like actually look at like the different upgrades and the things that maybe you didn't personally purchase, but you can go tell your clients, yeah, it's amazing. I walked in the room and it's super big. It'd be great for a family, that kind of thing.
And one of the reasons we've chosen Puerto Vallarta in particular, as opposed to some other destinations in Mexico that we were looking at, is because there's a ton of all-inclusive resorts that people travel and vacation to.
Right.
So living here, it's very easy for us to reach out to the resorts and say, can we do a site inspection of some sort? It doesn't mean that you'll get like a free night, but you might get maybe free breakfast or free lunch while you're there.
Right.
But it allows us to, again, create content for the properties, and
Right.
it's a win for them. They're just giving us a tour of it. So that's one of the reasons we chose Puerto Vallarta,
Nice.
because of our business.
That's
And how long have y'all been in the business?
Yeah.
In the travel business space, over 10 years.
10 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Specifically training other people how to become travel agents, just a couple of years now. COVID really changed the industry a whole
Right.
bunch. 2019 to 2020, we took a 65% loss in income.
Wow.
It was a big
Sure,
thing,
sure.
which was our first jaunt into let's go live full time in Mexico because there were beautiful sunsets and cheap tacos.
Yep.
So it was in the middle of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, first year of the pandemic, that we moved down here to Puerto Vallarta and stayed for a year.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess you've already kind of answered the question, which, I mean, we're maybe leading that way anyway, was you've traveled so many places, and so why did you choose Mexico? Was it purely because of Puerto Vallarta? Or I mean, were there other aspects that kind of, brought you here, or is it purely just for business?
Yeah. You want me to answer that and you piggyback, or you want to start?
You can answer it.
Because it was definitely my suggestion.
Well, I'll just go ahead and say, I like, they say happy spouse, happy house.
Yeah.
Instead of, we like to do that instead of happy wife, happy life. So happy spouse, happy house. And seeing him happy was enough to go, yes, I will go to Mexico. It'll be amazing. But then there's other reasons as well, but you can share.
Yeah. So we've I say lived, but that means more than just like 3 or 4 days or at a resort, right? So we've lived in Cabo San Lucas, or actually San Jose del Cabo, kind of the older area. We lived there for a month, liked it, but it was a very different vibe in the Cabo area, right? Very deserty, no green, no nothing. We've lived in Puerto Vallarta. We lived in Punta de Mita, which is kind of along the way, for a month-ish. That was a different experience.
It was.
In a good way. But
we were in an all-inclusive resort
Oh,
for 4
for a
months.
month.
she's a personal trainer. She got to
It
stay
was-
there for 4 weeks.
I'm like, yeah, we lived there, but I mean, did we really? But
But the area.
Yeah.
We've stayed in Playa del Carmen, Cancun. I've been to Mexico City. Didn't stay a long time in Mexico City. But for Puerto Vallarta, first off, Mexico, it's the food, the people, the affordability, the safety. Like, I love Mexico.
Sure.
Love Mexico. And there is magic in Puerto Vallarta, in my opinion, with you can get an ocean anywhere, you can get a Pacific coast anywhere, but you can't get a coast that has the topography of the mountains surrounding the bay and so forth. And it's just like being up on a rooftop or whatever and watching, I literally get goosebumps. The sunsets over the bay with the mountains in the background. It's just, to me, there's not many places in the world where you can have the mountains and the water.
Right.
And safety and good food and affordability. And all that.
I think we've been here twice to Puerto Vallarta, and it's pretty similar ideas. I mean, it's just, it's a fun place to be. Even just going out in the evenings, just walking around, people watching. I think we've enjoyed that.
Yeah, especially where you guys are. It's a good vibe over there.
Oh, it's great. I mean, we love it. I mean, the food is amazing, right? And just walking on the Malecon, again, and the topography, right? Just like the mountain ocean view. You don't get that in other parts of Mexico so much. Not like you do here.
Yeah.
I think we've really enjoyed that. Now, something you mentioned that I kind of picked up on was you said the safety. Now you're talking about safety just here in Puerto Vallarta and Mexico in general, because I know when people think of Mexico, they don't always think safety. I mean, I know we've talked about this at,
Yeah.
on some of our other
Yeah.
podcasts is
Safety is always people's number one concern.
Right.
I heard so many bad news
and you
about
hear
these
bad news.
things.
Now whether that's media induced,
Yeah.
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So what would you speak to that as far as people who may be hesitant to come to Mexico?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'll say from my perspective, as a female, like this is, I'm trying to think where else we've lived if that would have been the case. But we cook from home a lot because of being a personal trainer and
Sure.
that sort of thing. So we go to the grocery store a lot. And the test for me was I was like, one day we were here in 2020 or in 2021, but the first time that we were living here full time, we needed something and he was on a Zoom or had a call or something. And I was like, I'll go get it. It was dusk. It wasn't like late, but it was
Sure.
dusk and it was a walk. We were walking from Lirios. So it was Lirios. So it was a little bit of a walk and down the hill and around the corner. And I felt like no fear. Like there was never like a time of, oh, I'm coming around a dark corner or any of that kind of thing that like that women's intuition would feel like even. And I even remember thinking when I walked back is like, I've had worse tingly feeling, if you will, in a United States parking garage.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's, dark and dingy and you don't know who's out there and you hear stories about people hiding
Yeah.
between cars and stuff.
Yeah.
Then I felt here. So that was kind of the test for me of like, I don't mind going out at night, walking on the Malecon. Like I've told you earlier, I have to get so many steps. So if I have to get them without Michael, like that's not a problem. I'm not worried about running into anybody that's going to bother me or come up to me.
But what about
kind of
other places in Mexico you traveled? You had the same safe feeling, or somewhere maybe?
I think Mexico has always been safe from where we've gone. Like we were in Brazil for about a month, and that was a
in
little
Rio.
sketch
Yeah, okay.
in Rio. So that one was different.
Much bigger city, right? Yeah.
And I got a little bit lost. So
that was probably more of it than specifically where we were. Although the first week that we were there, the Airbnb we rented, we did not know was in the red light district.
Oh, fun.
Yes.
Right.
So she gets up very early, so we would get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning for a walk, and we'd go down and be like, "Oh, this wasn't here when we went to bed."
Yeah.
But I think also you can't. Who knows? There's always going to be stuff anywhere. But the places that we've chosen, there's always, we'll call it a expat community or an immigrant community, or especially on the coastal areas. If there's a cruise port there, I've never had any issues whatsoever.
Right. Yeah. And I think we felt the same. I think for the first time you went to go pick up Louie on the bus the other day. How did that go?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good in the middle of the day. Got on the bus, got off. Of course, be a little bit awareness
just
who's
aware.
around me, make sure the road
Yeah.
straight. Yeah, it's not in the real central area. It was in somewhere in the middle, a little bit lower income area. I can tell just by the streets.
Right.
Sure.
But still, we walked there many times, and I walked to the daycare. Even the local people talked to me, and I picked up my son, got the bus back.
Yeah.
And she mentioned people talking to her. No one's ever talked to me like that.
Right.
But again, I mean, and I take that back. Some people have when we've been together, but I picked up my son many times. And I never had someone. I never had 2-3 people talk to me on the street. But I think that does say something as far as being a lady. People being very friendly with her. She had our son, and people were very nice and speaking to her. So I do think it lends to the whole idea that I think on the most part, Puerto Vallarta is pretty safe. On a whole.
Yeah, and I think what you said was very important too, of just being aware of your surroundings. Like any place that you go in the world has the potential to be unsafe if you're not cognizant of what's around. Like you're loose with your purse or whatever it is. Like just being aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, I think I just really choose the safe area to stay. There are many areas in Mexico is not safe.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
But as a tourist or visitor here, don't be too bold.
Right.
For certain area, not to go to, don't go there.
Yeah. I think I forget exactly what the quote is, but like when you travel reduces biases and prejudices and stuff like that anyway. So even outside of Mexico, like if you think about it, there's almost 8 billion people on planet Earth, and the vast majority of people want the best for their kids. They live their normal lives.
Right.
And so but I don't think anywhere we've ever been, there's ever been there's been a self-induced, holy crap, I wonder where we are, what are we doing?
Right.
But we've had zero encounters with crime, with hassle, with now I will say this about Mexico or Puerto Vallarta in particular. If you're going to pay with pesos and you're buying something small, but you're using a lot of pesos, they very well may not give you back the exact change and not tell you about that. That happened to me the other day.
Okay, it hasn't happened yet.
And it was only 2 pesos that they left out. I was supposed to get back I was supposed to get back 12 pesos, and they gave me back 10.
Right?
And I'm like,
2 pesos.
I know. But,
on their perspective, right? They're like, 2 pesos.
yeah.
Right.
But other than that, there's really in all the places we've been, we've never encountered a.
No, and I'm trying to think where. I think it was it Brazil or somewhere where one time in our travels I had a habit of carrying my phone in my back pocket. But somebody tapped me on the shoulder. So whether it was an expat or a visitor or a tourist or something as well, but tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Don't do that." And I was like, "Oh, okay, got it."
Little friendly advice.
Yeah,
right.
so it was
So our experience was never like, "Oh, I had this terrible experience happen." It was more like another tourist was looking out for us.
Right, kind of helped you out. Nice.
Yeah.
And have you all only like flown to your destinations, or have you all driven through Mexico?
No, only a quick, maybe 50 kilometers outside of one of the travel destinations. So we haven't driven around the country yet.
Okay, and I think that does help. I think for some people, I know we've driven through, and I think sometimes maybe that's where that little fear maybe comes through. I know, like how you mentioned, sometimes it's kind of your own panic-induced fear. Like driving on those long stretches of highway, I tend to get a little bit more like
just aware.
to kind of looking at every little car that passes by in a little situation. And we do tend to stick to the toll roads, which tend to be safer for traveling long distances. I mean, we're driven from Houston to Queretaro, which is like that's a 2-day trip. And it's mostly 100%, like 90% toll road, but there's always that little place like Tamaulipas and stuff. So a lot of I think the fear may be coming from driving. I think that's we hear a lot of stories with people getting stopped on the side of the roads, but so y'all have never experienced that,
right? Not that, no, but we have driven in plenty of other countries, but not in Mexico.
Nothing like that. And then something else that y'all mentioned too. It's kind of funny because you said as expats and as immigrants.
Well, it's because we watched your other video. I don't know the distinction. I don't think we've ever used the term. We've never used the term immigrant until watching the video yesterday.
Right, and it's funny. And the reason we kind of talked about that is because we hear so many things online from people like, "You're not an expat, you're an immigrant."
Yeah, you said people get like upset.
Many people got upset.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was going to kind of any thoughts on that? Like the difference? Do y'all prefer one over the other, or does it matter?
So on that specific, I'd say
or you consider yourself tourist?
Well,
we use expat more than immigrant until hearing that.
But that's only because I'm in a Facebook group called Puerto Vallarta Expat.
Right.
So everything else has been location independent or nomad or whatever, because we do travel a whole bunch and we don't own, we just rent. So I just use that term because that's what other people have used. So I don't know that we would even consider.
Yeah. I mean, we're the same too. It's just always funny when I hear people mention that, and I kind of think about all the people online who always talk about that. And for some people, it makes a huge difference. And I get so angry.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't matter.
Go have a taco.
Yeah, go have a taco. And then I know also, I guess we're kind of switching gears because it's something that we like to talk about too. I noticed a couple of books online that you like to read. You put on your Facebook profile. One was Rich Dad. The other one's 4 Hour Work Week. I mean, I know we love Rich Dad and all that. And I think you read the 4 Hour Work Week. I mean, do those? I mean, maybe just kind of speaking on those books a little bit, and maybe do they kind of lend to your business or the idea of travel? Maybe expand on that a little bit, or as far as do they help your business, or maybe just kind of go in that direction.
Well, those are yours, so I'll let you go ahead and speak on them.
So Rich Dad, Poor Dad, for one thing, I read that, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago now, something like that. Interesting story. My brother-in-law, well, I won't get into that. It's a good story, actually, Joe, if you're watching this. You were an influence in that. But I'd say the number one thing I took from that was financial literacy, but was how do you set up an asset that spits off cash flow that, as opposed to looking at your life as, your personal house as an asset, as a liability, anything that puts money in your pocket versus takes money out of your pocket. So that was definitely an influence in becoming an entrepreneur and how to set your business up. And so we could be personal travel agents where we're booking travel, earning commissions, but by having a team of travel agents, right? They're booking travel, earning commissions, and we get a little percentage of their, for helping coach and train and being the team leader. So that was influential there. Now the 4 Hour Work Week.
There you go.
That book changed my life forever, hands down, because I was working, so in the event industry, right, with weddings and corporate events, those were always on the weekends, but I was building the business Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. most of our customers were brides and grooms, so they worked Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, so they could only meet for their wedding planning from 5 until 9 at night.
Oh, okay, right.
So I'm working 7 days a week from the morning till the night because I'm building the business, meeting with customers and doing events on the weekend.
Right.
And if I wanted to take a vacation, I had to schedule it 6 months out, 12 months out, or 18 months out because we're booking events for
that far ahead.
That far in advance.
Wow.
So if I wanted to plan a vacation, it was going to be a year away. So the 4-hour work week, pardon my language, but it pissed me off when I read the book going, even if it's just a concept or whatever, like, is it possible? Because the subtitle says, escape the 9 to 5, live anywhere, and join the new rich.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I read that well over 10 years ago because it was before I started our travel business. And I was like, is it possible to travel the world and make money? So when I just basically stopped the event business, stopped booking new events, took a leap of faith. This was in 2013, August 5th, 2013. Scariest day of August 3rd, because I left on August 5th. I booked a one-way plane ticket from Charlotte, North Carolina to Cozumel, Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Because I heard somebody say, this mentor guy, it was like, freedom to me is booking a one-way plane ticket and coming back when you're bored. Yep. I was like, damn, that sounds good. I have no idea what that means. So I was like shaking, like ready to book the ticket because I had no idea. So I landed in Cozumel, went to Cozumel, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Chetumal, started going down the coast.
Right.
Went to Belize because I wanted to scuba dive the blue hole in Belize. It had been a 10-year dream.
Right.
And all through that time, I carried the 4-hour work week with me, and I took pictures on the ferry. I took pictures in the hammock, and I just as a reminder. And that 1 month, and then I went to Mexico City and Teotihuacan and all the different places and stuff around there. And that month, I had just started the travel business a few months before, but that was like the full into it. I made more money in a hammock in Mexico, posting about my travels in Mexico. This was 10 years ago, right? 2013.
Okay.
Than I made the month before when I was back in Charlotte, North Carolina with a business that I had for 14 years, but I had been phasing the business down a bit.
I'm sorry, how did you make money from that?
I had a travel business.
Okay, you already had it at that time.
That's
Okay.
Right. Just only a few months.
Oh, okay.
It was a little bit different because COVID changed some of the dynamics, but it was still in the travel entrepreneur, business agent type space. And I made more money than it cost for my bills for that month. So what I thought was only going to be a 1-month trip turned into 2 months, turned into 6 months, turned into 12 months, turned into 2 years, turned into 5 years. So I was doing that by myself. And then back to Cancun after some other travels, we end up meeting at the Cancun airport taxi stand on the way to the same all-inclusive resort.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that book, that book to me, some people can quote scripture in the Bible off their head and so forth. I can quote the 4-hour work week like scripture in the Bible.
Nice.
That book is everything to me.
Right.
So how many hours you work a week right now? Is that really 4 or more than that?
If you look at different projects, it's probably about 4, but we have a couple different projects that we're getting ready to do. And also we are a bit in a rebuilding phase because of COVID and being in the travel space was such a unique time. But we take lots of naps. We middle of the day naps.
Yes, we are big fans.
Yeah.
I think the 4-hour work a week, I remember it was a long time ago I read it or briefly read it.
Yeah.
I think the whole concept is to teach people spend more energy to do the more important things.
Yeah.
I read the other book, probably you heard about it, the 2080 rule.
Yeah.
I think that's a similar concept.
Yeah.
Just work smartly. Don't waste your time doing itty-bitty things. I'm busy, but the thing is what you are busy with.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Don't be busy on the little minuscule things, right?
Yeah.
Focus on what's important.
Focus.
Yeah. Well, and in the 4-hour work week, there was one, I think it's chapter 14 called Mini Retirements.
Line number.
An American businessman went to a small coastal Mexican fishing village, right? But there's a story in there that it's just a parable or a story or whatever. And that the story was about an American businessman who was so proud of his businesses, working so hard, killing himself and all of that, needed to go to Mexico to relax for a bit and sat on the beach watching little Mexican fishermen, asked the guy how much fish he catches. And he goes, just enough to feed the family and give some to some friends. And he goes, well, what do you do with the rest of your time? He goes, oh, I sleep late, I play guitar, I hang out with my wife Julia, and like at night I drink wine and hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, like you should start your own canning business and sell fish all over the world, and you can make millions and millions of dollars. And he goes, well, how long is that going to take? 20 to 25 years. And he goes, well, what do I do after that? That's the magic. You then sell your business, and then you retire to a small coastal fishing village, and you play your guitar. And he's like, and that book, I was like, oh my gosh, that is exactly what my life has become. This rat race of all that, instead of let's just go to Mexico and have fun and meet cool people and make money along the way.
And so have you been on board the whole time? I mean, were you a little apprehensive when you first moved to Mexico, or?
He is a very good looking man. Very good looking man. So yes, I was, and I've told him this, that my dream, like I didn't have travel dreams as a kid, or even like I went on vacations and stuff like that, but I just wasn't in a, oh my gosh, I would love to go fill in the blank. Like I didn't have what they call a bucket list. I was pretty much, and this is kind of our story too, is if somebody plans it, I'm like, yeah, when are we flying and where are we going and what do I need to pack? Like, just tell me the times and I will show up. So that's very true. I'm not opposed to it. But when we met and we started talking on Instagram, I started learning more of who he was and what he did and how he lived. I was like, yeah, I mean, I can quit a job and pack a house and leave tomorrow. So I did. So that was my leap of faith. So, yeah,
it took me 4 years to make the decision. She did it in 4 days.
Very persuasive. Very persuasive.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I had not read the 4 Hour Work. Like I had not read that book until I met him. Had also not seen another movie that he likes to talk about in time before I met him. But on the book thing, I don't have a big long story about it, but one that I love is The Slight Edge. Just from being a personal trainer and being in fitness, and then also seeing how it applies to business as well, of like those tiny little decisions will either take you millions of miles closer to your goal or they'll take you off, just like making the smaller decisions. So again, like focusing on being busy and being busy doing nothing versus like, okay, that's a slight edge decision of I'm going to spend most of my time doing something that matters and puts me in a place where I can live full time, or just has me feeling busy all the time but not really getting anything done.
Right.
So how long you've been working as a personal trainer, and how you started your online training business?
Oh, well, the online training business is really not a thing. I tried it. I did try it and it was not a good fit. But for personal training, I was in corporate America for 10 years, and then I left in 2013 and became a full-time personal trainer and was teaching group fitness classes and training as an independent contractor in probably 10 different gyms in South Carolina. So I was a very busy girl driving a lot of different places. But I loved it for sure. And then meeting him, it was, well, I can do that anytime or anywhere, but it kind of fizzled. And so,
what sector did you come from what sector of business did you come from?
Accounting. So I had a 4-year degree in accounting. I did public accounting, and then I did corporate accounting for various different companies.
So now you mainly teach online, or you find some clients in Puerto Vallarta? Or?
Interesting. I would love to teach in Puerto Vallarta, but I do not speak Spanish. So it would mostly be you point here and do this.
But I think it's a big expat community here. They need English-speaking trainer.
Or even just boot camps probably could be something, right? You know, people come just to visit, but that's a whole other thing.
It's true. I have thought about it, and I guess I keep putting up the old roadblock of not speaking Spanish. I've had a couple of online clients, but for me to train you online, I need the person to be like at least a little bit of a self-starter, and then I guide them along the way. My best training is one-on-one in person, having the equipment in the room, whether it's at home or not. It doesn't have to be a full gym, but just being with the person and helping them physically do them, not like physically do the movements, but being with them to coach them versus here's your workout, go do it and let me know how you felt about it.
Yeah, especially Puerto Vallarta, they're a big expat community. A lot of ladies need a workout, losing weight, look good at bikini on the beach.
We could do it together. It'd be amazing.
I was also trained for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, from all our different perspectives, we all have come from that arena of, different sectors of the economy, or work. I was a teacher, trainer. She worked in tourism as well, wedding planner. But, we've all been able to kind of get to a point where we've been able to kind of free ourselves. Yeah. Right? And I hope that kind of comes across, as not sound too like, oh, I'm awesome, but inspiring. People out there can do it. I mean, you're looking at 4 different people here who have come from different parts of working and have been able to kind of attain something through hard work.
Yeah,
it is definitely not easy.
Yeah.
But again, if people are willing to kind of sacrifice that time, you can do things like this and be on vacation or feel like you're on vacation quite a bit. And take a walk on the beach and see beautiful sunsets and have awesome fish tacos and little taco trucks and go to nice fancy restaurants.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've enjoyed it so far. Everything that we've been able to, just here in Puerto Vallarta, but even in Mexico in general.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any places in Mexico that you are kind of maybe planning or looking forward to? Or do you have any that you haven't been to?
Well, now that we watched a bunch of your videos back home, I'm not even going to try to pronounce.
We have to go there.
Queretaro?
Queretaro.
Yeah.
So we watched several of your videos, and we were like, "Oh, well, these are great interview." Well, the interview that we just saw last night that you sent me.
Oh, yeah.
But then watched some of your other stories. And we're like, "Oh, this is really good." So then we watched a couple other top 10 things to do and stuff. One of the things we have considered personally is higher elevation to get out of some of the heat and humidity, because it is definitely. I probably can't see it on, and we've got the air conditioning on, but I have sweat going down my legs. But I also get excited when I talk. So it is hot and humid in the tropical.
Absolutely.
So looking a little higher elevation. We had considered though, Medellin, Colombia.
Oh, okay.
We haven't been personally, but we have a bunch of friends that live there. It's called the Eternal Spring.
Right.
But I know there's places in Mexico that offer that as well. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, definitely where we come from is very nice. Mexico City. I think people say Guadalajara is not too bad.
Yeah.
Have you been to
Guanajuato.
Guanajuato,
San Miguel de Allende.
Yeah. Have y'all been to Guadalajara? By chance?
I've only flown in and gone to Tepic, in a car, but haven't spent any time there.
Oh, okay, yeah. Also, I mean, it's one of those kind of in the middle, kind of hot, not too hot, but it's still here in Jalisco, which is nice because you get the amazing food.
Yeah, it is so true, so true.
So I mean, so maybe middle of the country, higher elevations. I don't know what else.
Well, there's another great thing about Mexico for people that may be watching, which is it's the same time zone as those in the U.S. We're very, very close.
True.
Because we contemplated before coming here, after our recent experience in Greece, we were like, man, we should spend an extended time in Greece. It was that the islands can get expensive and they're beautiful, but it's like a small. You get what do you call it? Where you're stuck on the rock or whatever, right?
Oh, right.
So of course you can do ferries and get off, but. The mainland Greece was so spectacular, but just the time zone was 7 or 8 hours difference. Right. I spent about 6 months in Australia and New Zealand, which was beautiful, but time zones were a disaster.
Crazier, right? Yeah, that was our time in China when we were there.
Yeah.
Now you've been here in Mexico. You how long do y'all plan on staying here in Mexico or Puerto Vallarta?
So we do have a 1-year lease, and we just got here May 2nd of 2023. Okay. So we're planning on being here for at least 1 year.
Okay.
But we're actually contemplating right now, maybe seeing if we can find somebody to sublet our apartment. Okay.
And staying here in Puerto Vallarta or
with our travel agents, Katie's got a personal a bodybuilding competition in the States. We have a few other events. As travel agents, we have another potential 34-day vacation, massive experience, multiple countries. That is a $0 type thing.
Wow.
And so we don't have kids, right? Yeah. So that does change the dynamic a bit. So we have several things that could have us away for a few months. And because we're renting in this newer building, they won't let you Airbnb or sublet for 1 month at a time or so. So we might see if we can find a new tenant for the apartment so we don't break contracts and all of that stuff. So we'll just stay until we get somebody.
What was so y'all rented this place? What was the renting experience like? I mean, how did y'all find the place? I mean, agent, just looking on your own. What was the whole process? Did you take people through that process?
Yeah. You want me to do that?
And I'll just simply say my husband's amazing because he did all the research, and I just had to show up and go, "This is pretty." So find you a husband like that because that's amazing.
So. This time, let me go back to the very first time because when we hadn't been here before, the first time we just went to Airbnb. We were coming for a 1 month time frame. So instead of doing a longer term, it was just 1 month on Airbnb. So we already had the discussion around Airbnb and what you can find or what also might not be said on Airbnb.
Yeah.
But we definitely, that very first time, I was very diligent in reading. I only booked Superhost and I only booked one that had, I don't remember what it was, 20 or more reviews.
Okay.
And so I read the reviews line by line by line by line by line. So the first choice that we made was an amazing experience, but it was just through Airbnb for 1 month. But when we were here for that month, it allowed us to walk around and get to know the area. Sure. So then it was a year later that we came back.
Yeah, that was 2019 of June 2019, and we came back August 2020.
Okay.
So that second experience was way easier because we had the knowledge and experience of where the grocery store was, where we would go, where some of the restaurants were that we liked. So we went back to Airbnb because we were only going to stay for about 2 months.
75 days. Because it was August 2020, so I will tell that story. It was August 2020, so COVID was still going on, and we had been
lockdowns were.
We had been in South Carolina, which we don't own a home even in South Carolina. We were staying with family, so when we were told to stay home for COVID, we didn't have one. So we were literally staying at the mercy of friends and family.
Oh wow!
We were in an airport flying somewhere, and we landed, and they said everything shut down.
Yeah, like, go home.
We're like, we don't have.
Exactly
where?
We were looking.
Thanks, Sam, for letting us stay.
That's true. Yeah, so appreciate that. But he was having cabin fever, like gotta get out, gotta get out, gotta get out. And he was looking at Airbnbs and looking at Mexico. We had a friend that had gone to Mexico. They had a timeshare, so she had like broken free and proven that like it's not dead out there. Like you can still go, and it's just more quiet. And so he's like, we're gonna do it. And he found an Airbnb and booked as much as he could, and it was 75 days was like what it was.
It had to have an amazing view as well. If we were going to be stuck in the house,
looking at a wall.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, so he took like everything that they had from this one place that had the amazing view. So it was 75 days. Go ahead.
So then we came down for that, but my best find. So we had this 75-day contract on Airbnb, but then I joined a bunch of Facebook groups like long-term rentals or short-term rentals or whatever for Puerto Vallarta, and you can find those anywhere. Doesn't matter if it's Mexico or different spaces. And I just posted because we decided we were going to stay after the 70-some days because nothing was going to change till the election and all that. Even though things didn't really change after the election, but we don't need to get into that stuff. So I just started posting on Facebook. I said, here's our view from our Airbnb. Here's kind of what we're looking for if anybody has an offer, and had a message from. I don't know if she's a realtor or a finder or whatever, but she's somebody that works with owners and properties. Didn't know her from anybody. So I was actually a little hesitant as well, right?
Yeah.
But she sent me some pictures. And so I said, can we come see it? Which is super key. So we went and looked, and we were only in our Airbnb for a week, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 8 days, 9 days.
It was a week, yep.
And I went and looked at this place because I was saying, is something going to be available 2 months from now? And she goes, well, it's available now. And it was that spot we were saying up on the hill, like 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, the most spectacular. If it's not the best view in all of Puerto Vallarta, it's in the top 2 views from a balcony. And we've walked every single street, every single hill. And so we ended up canceling. We lost $900 on the Airbnb. I told the people, I was like, sorry, I'm just going to cancel.
It's still not bad. 900 for 75 days.
That's correct. That's correct. And then we moved into that other apartment. So all that to say, short-term stays, Airbnb was fantastic. It was a great experience. Just make sure you really read the reviews as we were talking. But the first one that we did when we came back the second time, we didn't read the reviews as much. It just had a beautiful view. But it was not, there was no air conditioning in the living room. It was the open air kitchen. So there's geckos and stuff running around.
The thing was, I did read a lot, but still, I think people didn't tell the truth. Sometimes the host is super nice. They don't want to see a little bit bad things about the place. It just covered everything. That's why I heard it. Like once people say the host is super, super nice, be aware. Be aware.
Because they're going to not say anything.
That's also super host.
She was a super host, right? Like,
I read a lot.
She was such a nice old lady. Who wants to be mean to a nice old lady?
Right. Who's going to say, nice old lady, but her place sucks? Nobody's going to say that.
So it's just.
So Airbnb was good, but then for the longer term stay, I found the Facebook groups have been the best options. Because we've got friends that are here now. We've got other friends that are coming to visit. So we make connections that way. We've gone and toured other properties, even though we have a lease here, just so that we know like what's available in case next year. Or
here is that easy to rent it? Are you a tourist status or residence or anything?
It's been super easy in our experience.
Because of the Puerto Vallarta. It's very easy.
Yeah. Was this direct with the owner or through an agency? Like, how did you get this particular place?
So a guy had it posted on. He had multiple listings in one particular Facebook group. So it wasn't just a one-off. You could tell he'd been doing this. I was on for weeks.
You are a very extensive researcher.
Yeah. And he would post pictures of like him and a new tenant that had moved in somewhere, and people are saying, "Oh, thanks, Leo. You were helpful." So he does not own or work for the building. He's an independent guy.
Okay.
But I don't even think he's a realtor. He's just an
Agent.
apartment
Okay.
finder, kind of sort of. So he showed us 4 or 5 different places because I had commented on different Facebook posts. And I said, can we see this one? Can we see this one? Can we see this one? So he did all the little negotiations with the building manager and stuff like that. But it was just it is a full contract that we had to sign, but it was in Spanish and in English. So I hope it's the same words on the same page. But we read the English one like line by line by line.
Right.
So it was easy to do.
And there was no like extra security deposit because being a foreigner. I know back in Queretaro, one of the big things I always botch the name, but it's where they get like it's pretty much an insurance. They get an attorney and they do all the background check, and it's like 30% of your
for rentals.
Yeah, for rentals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's more common that we were lucky. We were able to find a couple of places where we weren't while we were still on our tourist visas.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit difficult. There was the very first place we found. We really liked it. It was in the centro, right by the aqueducts. And we went, it's a really cool house, nice little garden for a dog and kid. But we need to get this like I think they call it the PV or PJ. That's the initial, like Puligav Hudik something. I forgot the name. But again, so for a lot of tourists who come in who are on a tourist visa, it's hard to find a home for rent in like Central Mexico. So I'm guessing it seems here to be much different.
Here it was easy. First month, last month, and security deposit.
So like any other
Puerto Vallarta, it should be much easier because so many tourists here.
I guess you kind of expect it.
And the other apartment that we did rent was the same way. First and last month rent plus deposit, and then all the other ones that we've gone to look at, even though we're in a contract just to go look at them, the terms are the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, which is good to know. I guess being and maybe it's different along the coast, so as compared to the interior, or maybe it's just a Querétaro thing, or state, right? It could be a state thing. That's good to know because I know a lot of people are always considering moving long-term, short-term to Mexico. So it's good to know your different options. And what you may have to go through to get a place. So it seems to be pretty simple here.
Yeah, it was easy, and I definitely liked Facebook groups. I just Google search Puerto Vallarta rentals.
She does that a lot.
How's the Wi-Fi here? Anything's good?
Oh, everything's amazing. Yeah. And I mean, we even like drink the water out of the tap.
Yes,
we heard.
Yeah,
we haven't done it. We're not that brave. We've been in Mexico long enough.
We got a counter filter as well. Because we know, like, even if the building is new, you don't know the pipes that lead to the building. And
right.
Yeah, so we did it the first week we were here, and then we were like, well, and whether it's like self-induced, but we started thinking my head kind of hurts a little bit, and is it just because we moved and it's the heat, or should we maybe not drink the water? And so when your mind plays tricks with you, we did get a filter, but
be safe.
Right? We didn't get violently ill.
I heard people say if you are new here, if that's your first time in Mexico, just be aware. If you already lived here, like us, already for a year or 2 years, we're fine.
I think our guts have gotten used to the Mexican food.
It just takes time.
Well, and you've had more ice in your drink and all of the things. So there's been filtration that has happened to your system.
Sure, slowly, but it's there.
It's slowly been.
They did offer the big jugs and a little thing and they keep them in the basement, so you just 15 pesos or whatever they will replace it. But we just figured that would be
easier. Okay, nice. Any last questions? Maybe I have thinking of.
So what's your current goal?
Current goal.
Well, you first. You've got a personal goal, but
it's true. I do have a bodybuilding competition in 82 days. Not that anyone's counting, not at all. But yes, 82 days. So bikini competitions. You can Google it. It's fun. So that's coming up. What about for you?
You know, I will say, for those of you that this is your first time watching these guys, follow all their content. Like, it's great. We got connected on a Facebook group, like a Puerto Vallarta Facebook group. You said you were looking for a podcast guest.
Right.
So had no idea who these guys were, but now we're like, we know their story, we know their son, we know this, we know that, we know all these other things, right?
We recognize you randomly on the Malacon.
That's right.
Yeah.
I saw her last night.
Yeah, totally. And so from like a goal standpoint, I love what you guys are doing because you're just like, here's the real stories of like people in Mexico and our story, and there's pros and cons and good and bad, and just average, normal, whatever that is, right?
Yes.
Everyday people are just like doing things like this. So from a goal standpoint, I think it's just, I love travel. I think just travel, like the human soul craves experiences, craves connection, craves like seeing new things and so forth. And to me, Mexico it's one of my favorite places in the world. So I love what you guys are doing. So we want to tell more people about you guys so they can follow your content and make their own decisions. So I'd like to get more people to move to Mexico. the right people to move to Mexico.
Sure.
It's only if there's a drive, a desire, and like a feel that you should be here. You have to at least try it out at some point in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to create more real content. Like sometimes I got mad or pissed during my travel. I'm not shy to cover it. No, cut this part.
Yeah.
No, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Not all travel. We travel all the time. Nothing is perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone got those moments.
Yeah. And we always talk about it at home. Like, we watch other podcasts, not podcasts, but other like travel blogs out there. And it always seems to be all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
And travel and living abroad is not always all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
Right?
It is funny. I've often asked myself, because we've watched a couple too of like couples that are doing it, and I'm like, what do they look like off camera? Because they could have so many things that are going wrong. I want to know their real story.
It's a good thing we're doing this on Monday, not yesterday, Sunday. It would have been a different experience in our.
True.
Yeah.
That's great. And so as far as maybe travel, I know you've done 60 and 40 plus countries. Any more plans for travel in the future? Like as far as maybe future destinations that you hope to go to, or do you have a number in mind? Are you going to try to do the whole world? Or?
I don't know about a number. We keep talking about, and we did do a little bit of an RV trip, and it stopped. But the entire United States, I haven't done all. And that's the other thing that I like.
Yes.
How rude, if you will, sort of, to say I've been to all these countries, but I haven't even seen my own. So I'd like to see all the states. That's one goal.
Yeah.
And we talked about doing a road trip through there, so that might come back up.
That was a good reminder. I didn't even know that.
Well, we talked about that even yesterday. And to add to it, because I am such a crazy gym person, I was like, I want to work out in every single state of the United States, like because there's a Planet Fitness in all of them.
Yeah.
But country-wise, the first thing that came to mind was Bali. We've never done Bali, and a lot of people talk about that one. It seemed like I had another one as well. New Zealand. You talk about that one a lot, and I've never been. So those are two countries that come to mind for me. See, I'm building a bucket list. I'm 40 years old and building a bucket list.
Yes, there are lots to see.
Yeah.
We're still young.
Yeah.
The only place in South America that we've done is Brazil. Well, and only Rio. Well, Rio and Maceo. But so this, we've done 6 continents as well. We have not done Antarctica.
That's true.
So part of the reason why we may not stay for this entire year, but we would probably come back at some point, is we have this 34-day cruise that leaves from LA and goes all the way down the west coast of South America.
Nice.
So we could hit, well, first off, it's Panama. So there's several Central American countries as well. But so however it goes, I might get it wrong. But you've got a Colombia stop, Ecuador stop, Peru. There's a Galapagos Island excursion. There's a Machu Picchu excursion, which we haven't done. There's
Chile, right?
Chile, It goes around Cape Horn, around South America. It sails around Antarctica. There's no.
It doesn't stop though, and if you don't put your foot on the continent, you can't count it.
Oh, okay.
So we might have to jump off and swim. We're gonna have to swim to it and be like, okay.
No. But it goes from LA all the way around to Buenos Aires, Argentina, which we haven't done as well. So it's this 34-day cruise that covers like 12 or 13 countries that neither of us have done. So that's like a goal. And it's over Christmas and New Year's. So we get to celebrate Christmas and New Year's Eve on the ship. And it's a little bit of a smaller boat, right, to do a 34-day thing. And as a travel agent, it's special.
And so I think you mentioned that. So this is part of being like a travel agent, like a discount or deal. You're able to do it. I mean, obviously anybody can do it.
So there's a term in the industry called a FAM trip or a familiarization trip. So when you are a travel agent, different travel partners offer different benefits. Sometimes it's just like you can book what's called a non-commissionable rate. So you just get the net rate without the cost of what they would normally pay a commission. Right? So that's available to you as an agent. It's not available to customers.
Sure.
Then there's some that have their own internal certifications or designations. I'll just say Disney as an example. Somebody can become a Disney certified travel agent. And if you're a travel agent, those internal certifications are free to do. And they're all self-paced, like a couple hours here, you learn about the ship, the destination, the ports, the parks, the different things, whatever. And then once you've completed a certification for a travel partner, they're like, oh, thanks for spending time with us. Come see our property. Come experience our brand. Come travel with us.
Better, like
so that you can sell. And then on the other side, there's some that are like, well, if you sell one room, you're going to get a free room. Or you sell 5 rooms, you're going to get a free room.
Right.
So each one's a little bit different. So this is a particular partner. It's a cruise. We've never cruised with them. We've never booked a cruise cabin with them for customers or whatever. So it's a travel agent perk. We've completed their certification, their designation. It comes with what's called a graduation cruise.
How exciting.
And you can choose one of 122 different sailings.
Wow.
So we don't have a home. We don't have a kid.
Yeah.
We do have to find somebody to watch the cat. So we're like, so we filtered all 122. We put duration longest. And so if it's free,
might as well.
Like, what's the longest we could go? Because it's all your food and all that stuff.
Everything's paid for, right? They got a nice gym there, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. They're really nice on the cruises.
You still got to pay.
You just have to be balanced.
Yeah, taxes and fees. I mean, it's
taxes
compared to what that probably
2
normally
days.
costs.
Yeah, and if you do excursions and stuff
Sure,
like that.
which makes sense.
But it's a
deeply discounted cruise.
And so,
I can imagine. Because I mean, we know cruises how much they cost, and I'm sure something like that would be.
Yeah, and it's a higher in line as well too, which she's a fancy
Can
one.
I nosily ask how much you paid for that?
The taxes and fees on it
is like $1,200.
For both of you.
And that was not a balcony cabin, so I will say that. It's an inside cabin, but for 34 days in all the places you're going, how long are you going to be in that cabin?
Right. And
you're going to sleep there.
It's cheaper than living in one place here.
Right.
Yeah, that's how some people live on the cruise. I saw some older couple that live on the cruise.
Yeah. I mean, for the 3 weeks at the Airbnb we're now, we're paying more than that.
Yeah.
And you're getting all your food included, like all the drink, all that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
we should do that.
Yeah.
So it is a travel agent perk and benefit. We can't like sell that to a customer.
Sure.
Or something like that. It's only a travel agent special.
And I know
you better believe we will talk about that cruise ship for a long time. It will be content forever.
For a long
Providing
time.
to have air conditioning in all the rooms and the food's good, and write Airbnb reviews sometimes.
True.
and so I know we've talked about your all's travel agent business. Is there a place where people can contact you all directly? Do you have a website? We can also put it on the links.
We do have a website. It's just thecatlows.com.
Catlows.com. Is that the best way to contact you? Is if people want information?
Probably. So on thecatlows.com, there's different, obviously, tabs. There's a blog which is becoming more updated. I'm very proud to say. But there's a blog, and then there's just the contact information is on every page. So you should be able to find us.
Yeah. Thecatlows.com.
I think another, we'll leave the information there. People love to get connected.
Yeah.
Another question I would like to ask you is, what's the cost of living here for you to live in Puerto Vallarta? I think lots of people would like to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you do it.
Total everything?
Rent, food, go out to eat, drink.
And currently ours is a little different because we are eating mostly at home since I'm training.
Sure.
It's and we've had
actually
this
more expensive.
I know we've actually had this conversation that it's probably cheaper to eat tacos and our cost of living would go down if I weren't eating 6 meals of protein a day.
Sure.
So
so renting, if I was because we just finished we were here basically the entire month of May. We got here on the 2nd and we moved in on the 2nd. Okay. So total, but we also bought a little bit of furniture and stuff like that. I think our total expenses for that first month was about $2,500, maybe a little bit more than that, but that's a premium because if it was the first month we got. We bought extra towels, we got a dish drainer and stuff like that. So in general, it'll definitely be way under $2,000 for the month for the two of us.
Right. What's the rent for this 1-bedroom apartment?
Yeah, we're paying a little more than we should.
Okay.
Yeah, right now it's 26,000 pesos.
Okay.
26,000 pesos.
Okay.
Yeah, but they do 2 cleanings, so 2 cleanings a month.
Included. Okay.
Everything included except electricity, but electricity is so cheap.
Right.
Have you paid any bill yet for electricity?
Well, we paid one, but it was only for.
It was a half.
It was like a half thing, but it was 170 pesos or something. So it was like $9.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And that was for the months.
Yeah.
It was for a month and a half of when we weren't even here, plus the 2 weeks that we were here, or 3 weeks we were here. $9, but
but still, I mean, overall very affordable. So even with the startup, the 2,500.
Yeah.
Once that all kind of goes away, 2,000 is very reasonable.
For sure.
Right? Yeah. And then if you decide to eat out more once maybe in the future,
right?
You could probably drop a little bit, or depending on where you eat.
Yeah, but also again, this is a brand new building. We're the first tenants to have a long-term spot here.
Right.
They're not doing Airbnbs and stuff. They're just now filling out with long-term places. So we're paying a premium as well because it's never been lived in. It's a brand new building. We also, it's another tip, we rented in May for the 1 year as opposed to trying to come at the beginning of high season.
Right, which I've heard is a better time to rent as far as getting at places.
Way more availability, and they have, most of them, all their snowbirds leave and stuff. So if it is a place that does kind of transient rentals, they need the money through the summer, so you can get a bit They said this apartment in the high season rented for
36.
34,000, 34 or 36,000.
It's almost double.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, 50% more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was 36 because I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Even for a year, if they start in winter.
Yeah.
No, that was a it was a shorter term.
Oh, got it.
Probably a little 6-month high season.
Yeah.
Probably. Wow, that's still. I mean, they could rent it for 6 months and get the same price to get it for the price y'all are doing now.
That's
for
correct.
the year.
For the whole
Wow.
year. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people always like to do no because costs are different everywhere you go, right?
Yeah.
We pay in Queretaro here and other places we've been to, so that's still not bad. I think that's overall very affordable.
Well, our favorite taco place is 17 pesos a taco for the Al Pastor taco.
And it comes with chips. That's the other thing that's interesting. He's a big chip.
Salsa.
So the street tacos don't always come with chips.
No, not at all.
And he's got to have his
What's that
chips
place
also.
called? You know?
Rico Mac Taco.
Rico
Mac
Mac
right
Taco.
across from Leather.
So just for people who maybe come to Puerto Vallarta, they can check them out.
Yeah.
How about your insurance, like health insurance?
Did we do that?
Yeah. So as entrepreneurs, right? So our health insurance, we do have full health insurance, but based on like tax returns and stuff like that.
Sure.
So we have I forget what it's called, not a stipend, but so our health insurance is very, very affordable.
Oh, yeah.
We don't access it. Well, you want to talk about?
I was going to say you should talk about the dentist. So, or I'll mention it. You can tell the prices of it. So when we were here in 2020 for the first time, we had been to. We were doing Groupons for our teeth for like dental cleanings and stuff because in the States it just made more sense.
Yeah.
And several of them were telling us, oh, you're due for a deep cleaning. Like I've got a history of higher gums, that kind of gum recession, and he's got it as well. And we're like, I just don't think we want to do that because the price was so expensive. And we didn't have, and I don't think we had insurance in 2020 at that point, or we hadn't gotten it yet.
Or not in dental, no.
Yeah, we didn't have dental. We had health. We didn't have dental. And so we came here and we're doing stuff online.
It was one of the reasons why we moved was because we were going to do some dental work.
Yeah.
And we had a friend that had done the same thing. He's like, I go to Puerto Vallarta for my dental work all the time. They're American speaking. It's a great facility. Like, so he had kind of vetted it. So we went and we had 2 deep cleanings in 2020.
Even with like a little surgery and stuff like
that.
Yeah,
they had to cut his gum.
$360 as opposed to $3,600.
Ridiculous. So now when we came back this time, we didn't need the deep cleaning, but we were due for another cleaning, and so we
that was
were
part of our first month expenses, right? Let's go get
our first week. We
our
got our deep cleaning. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just like in Queretaro,
Yeah, medical and dental is so much more affordable here.
Yeah, very
much more.
affordable.
Yeah. And then you'll have, I guess, just to clarify, is the insurance from back home or the insurance here?
U.S.
U.S. insurance.
Oh,
Okay.
So we're technically not covered for things down here, I guess.
I
Something
see.
with that. But our we do have some travel insurance as well. So like if there's an emergency and you have to be medevaced.
Okay. Which is important. Okay, so that's good. So we do have to go back home and take care of your the flight back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, which is nice. Yeah, because I know we've been to the doctor. Obviously, we've lived here a bit longer. I think going to the doctor for a visit like 700 pesos,
right?
Like for a specialist, nutrition, that's like $35,
right?
And that's normally some people's copay,
100%.
In the U.S. Plus they got to pay the insurance anyway.
Yeah.
So very affordable. But she's been to the dentist, and it's actually fabulous. Very, very modern, very nice, great.
Yeah.
English speaking, like you said, for those who don't understand Spanish.
Yeah.
Very excellent care.
For our kids cleaning was 500 peso each.
Yeah.
I think the price should be pretty similar to here.
Yeah. Well, nice. I mean, so any kind of winding down, I guess, any last pieces of advice, maybe questions we missed, maybe we could have asked, or just advice to people who may want to travel or live in Mexico or Puerto Vallarta?
Well, I think living in Puerto Vallarta is great for health and fitness because you're going to sweat out any toxins. You're going to sweat off the weight. You don't have to do as much, and you'll sweat most of the weight off. So that's my piece of advice.
I think also along those lines, especially as we're talking about like healthcare, when you are happy and when you are like eating better food, even if it's the tacos, but if it's off the farm tacos as opposed to processed stuff, so it is a healthier living style we find. So we like living. But I was watching your interview yesterday and talking about like living in the suburbs and it's all the Mexican neighbors and so forth versus living in Centro area. But we don't have a car, and so we like the walkability of where we are here in Puerto Vallarta, even if it's 1.5 miles or however many steps to get over to the where you guys are. But I think it's just if somebody has an inkling or a calling or like, I wonder if Mexico would be good for me, you have to try it. You have to, even if it's, that's the, in the 4-hour work week, chapter 14, I think it is, unless it's the updated version, I don't know what it is, but read, or just Google search mini retirements from the 4-hour work week. And he's like, don't sell everything, don't do whatever, just go somewhere for 30 days and go live there. Don't go, I'm a travel agent, I want you to book a all-inclusive resort, but don't book an all-inclusive resort. Book an Airbnb and go live in the town for 30 days and like walk to the store and do that stuff. And you'll get a feel of like, do you like it or do you not like it? So for 10 years, I had this little inkling of Mexico. Like, would it be amazing to do that? And there's a picture on Facebook where I'm like, I can't believe it took me 10 years to make this decision because it's been so good. So if you've got a little bit of an inkling, give it a shot for 30 days, come live here for a bit, try out the different spots. Like we want to come to where you guys are. And I think you'll love it.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly, we said 30 days is perfect. That's about the amount of time we're here in Puerto Vallarta. For the same kind of reasons. We want to kind of get to feel and know what it's really like. Come for a week, days, it's very different. I mean, right now we're kind of in that point where we almost feel like we're settling in. Right? So then the first 2 weeks is like, yay, it's fun.
Everything's exciting.
And now it's like, okay, now we're kind of working every day. We're opening up the computers now, finally. But it's not 2 weeks of no computers. It was nice. And another thing you kind of brought up in there that sometimes people forget or maybe don't even realize is the food, right? You know, we've talked about this before as well. It's just back home, there's so much food is just processed or just injected with who knows what or the way it's produced. Here, the food seems to be so much cleaner. In the sense of like fruit and veggies, like I said, meat tends to be more farm raised. You know, so that is definitely. I think I remember when I first got here. I think I was getting sick, but I think I was getting sick because my
you had to get rid of
what do you call it, detoxing from the US. You know, once we've kind of got used to it, I feel better on average. So I think that's something people again may overlook. You come down to Mexico, you live here for a while, the food is actually much cleaner, much better, and get to know the area.
100%.
Great advice. Absolutely. All right. Well, I'd like to thank you all again for joining us. I mean, some great information, some great stories. And again, if people want to reach out, thecatlows.com. All right. So if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. But down below, we'll get back to you. We'll put you in connection with them if we need to, or you want to. And we'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.